Let me bring Ananda in on this.
Yes, I'm going to take it a little more directly to the question you asked about agriculture and the role with respect to the region. And we all know, of course, that there are large tracts of land available for farming, agriculture, and so on. But the problems we're having is that we need to firstly understand or let the people understand what is the legacy that we can leave in terms of expanding financially or economically through agriculture. I had the good fortune to attend an FAO sponsored conference on food sovereignty in Panama only at the end of last month for Latin America and the Caribbean. And what really struck me and has stayed with me since is the concept of seed keepers. And this is particularly coming from the native Indians who, still do sustainable farming in Latin America and of course Guyana, but we're not hearing so much about what is happening from the Guyana end, although I've been seeing recently on social media that there are some efforts in Lethem and other places. But I think we really have to get with the whole sustainable development paradigm, because this is where the whole agricultural growth will come as a region, so that we can build on sustainable development. Because in that paradigm is the whole discussion of how we deal with climate change, which means that we have to have climate adaptation, climate resilience. Right now, we know that there are El Nino conditions in Guyana, and it is affecting, of course, the farmers in the hinterland. But what is important is that the government, the extension services and so on, have to work with the people. And it's a bit more difficult in Guyana than, let's say, the islands because of the vastness of Guyana. But they have to work with them to find ways of perhaps changing crops depending on the season, how to use more resilient farming methods, coming back very carefully to these seed keepers. We, the older generations, have to pass on the farming methods, the kind of, literally the seeds of agriculture to the younger generation. If not, well then others, people outside of Guyana will have to come in and move the agriculture forward. And very quickly, let me say, I had the good fortune to fly over the intermediate savannas only last year around May, and I saw that a Barbadian investor has invested in rice farming, and everything happens in one place. The rice is grown, the rice is milled, and then it is exported straight to Barbados and perhaps other Caribbean markets. So others are seizing the opportunities, but I feel that more entrepreneurship has to be encouraged, and also the Amerindian communities that need to be moved from just doing sustainable farming to farming that can sustain their entire families and communities so that they can perhaps enjoy a better income and lifestyle based on their hard efforts in the agricultural fields.
Kelvin, I see things from a project management point of view. I like what I'm hearing from Anandi. Great idea. But I'm still going back to infrastructure. We need to open up, we need to put more roads in the country, roads to get in the farming area. The farmers could get the products to where they could be sold and be transported easily at a reasonable cost. Mm-hmm. So we need to open up the country. We need to open up the country up, put more roads. Do you know that there's a study that was done that we leave Sheriff Street and get to Mary within 15 minutes?
Mark, is there any way you can turn up your volume?
I thought it can't go higher than this. Or you want me to come closer?
No, it's hard. It's hard, Mark. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we need all regardless of all these ideas of agriculture, it's great. But how do the farmers get the product at a cost that is very low to the market or to the ports? How do they get them? Will these products stay and rot in the interior or rot in rural areas? We need to cut roads. If we cut roads, it will open up we, around those same farming areas. We can start other communities. So those townships could start there too. Not only a farmer, a bank could go there, school could go there, and other things built around the farming community. So what we're trying to do, we're trying to move people from living only in Georgetown and move them in, further in, because as they go in, as they cut the roads, they will create more communities away from Georgetown. And the cost of farming being be so expensive to bring things to Georgetown or bring it to the wharf to export. You hear me, Sarah?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm listening.
Yes. All right. The other thing I'm looking at, the other thing let's talk about electricity. The other thing that's major, and if Guyana is going to tap into the rest of the world, is telecommunication.
Yes.
Yes, telecommunication is far. Everything heads around telecommunication. The whole banking system is telecommunication. And you cannot have an internet and telecommunication system that is not good. It's going to affect production. So as much as we want to progress, we need to fix something first. It's like I put the pipes and the water is going to go through. Before you open the water, make sure you lay the pipes first. So we lay some basic foundation. Electricity must be reliable. Water must be reliable. Roads must be there to transport and communication. Let me give you an example. I was doing a project about 5 years ago, and I had to make contact with somebody in China. I took a photograph of the area, and I texted to the person in China. The person looked at it and texted back to me and said, "Go ahead." It's communication, right? I could go on the internet and talk to him. Now, we need proper telecommunication system. It will always affect us if those things are not there. People will not invest. People invest just to make money, but people will not invest long term if there's no proper telecommunication, water, light, and health infrastructure. And there are Guyanese in the diaspora who are qualified in these areas that can help the Guyana government in those different areas.
So that has been a large chunk of this conversation for the past 4 or 5 weeks, and there are resources in the diaspora, but how do we get the government to tap into those resources?
But I think one of the things that we have to change our orientation. We, as a people, were brought up thinking that the government must be the leader. The government must only be there to set up the system, and we use the system to progress. We keep thinking that the government must lead. The government must not lead. The government is there to set up systems, put certain systems in place, and then we will go through those systems.
To his credit, Minister Harmon was on my other show 2 weeks ago. You might have tuned into that, and he said that the government is really pushing developing these same systems and infrastructure to push entrepreneurship. Anandi, what are your thoughts on what Mark just said in terms of infrastructure and what the minister said in terms of pushing entrepreneurship?
Mark, I agree with most of what Mark says, and I've listened to him about who should drive what. I believe, personally, listening to this, that the government has to take the lead on the infrastructural development. Even if it means providing the incentives to the respective sectors of the economy. So let's say there's hydropower, there are roads to be built and so on. The government, one, has to have a clear policy in terms of planning and where there needs to be, for example, penetration in terms of road networks, further development so that perhaps we can be more decentralized from Georgetown, which as we know is very, very prone to flooding, the whole coastline. That is something, it takes strategy. And I feel that that kind of strategy over the next 25 years has to be driven by the government in terms of policy, infrastructural frameworks, and the provision of incentive for the people such or companies, whether they are local or they're external, for them to come in and be able, in a very competitive and encouraging way, be able to say, yes, I'm interested in investing in Guyana instead of, say, for example, investing in Brazil, Grenada, Honduras, Belize. What is it that would bring investment, both local or foreign, to the economic table so that Guyana can go forward? And very quickly, I had the opportunity once to be in China on an official tour, and I was able to go in to certain towns where they will show you that they had a 25-year development plan for each province, and they will show you what it would look at each yearly and 5-yearly stage until, for example, a town would be established or a particular development would be completed. This is the kind of thinking, I think, that the government and the private sector partners should really start looking towards, rather than just being reactive. We need to think more on the long term if we are going to really...
I agree with you. I agree with you, Nandi. We need to think long term, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. That's great. We need to do that. Also, we have to decide what Guyana wants to be there. What we must know Guyana as. Singapore is known for certain things. Certain countries, Malaysia is known for certain products. What is Guyana? What is Guyana's niche in the world? Not the West Indies. I think it's time to stop thinking about the Caribbean. They have to start thinking global. What is Guyana's niche? What Guyana could produce that will shake the world? It's like when you want to talk about IT, you think of Bangalore in India. That's the IT capital of the world. When we think of Guyana, what Guyana can lead the world in? That's I would like to know. What is our niche? Is it agriculture? Is it gold? Is it thing? We cannot be all things to all men. We have to have a niche.
So, Mark, what do you suggest that niche should be?
I am suggesting we should go into agriculture.
Agriculture.
I'm suggesting we should go into agriculture. I think we should upgrade Guyana School of Agriculture, tune it with like a school in Israel that they have mastered agriculture very well. They could plant in the desert. Between those two institutions, and get persons to come from there to Guyana to teach the students how to do a different kind of farming.
The last segment had two people who are heavily involved in the empowerment of others. There was Dr. Roshkan, who is teaching young people to be entrepreneurs, and whose students are making real dollars on a daily basis. There is Sonia Noel, who is empowering women, and she spoke of these women who are in business. They have started small businesses, and they have come together in a cooperative effort to share resources and share ideas with each other. So I want to ask before, and I want to ask you a general question: what happens when, or what is possible when you have a community of women, especially in a small nation like Guyana, developing or having such a paradigm? But before you answer that, I want to go to Ronald and Kojo. you guys actually live in Guyana. What are you seeing on the ground that that would encourage you to reach out to your friends and colleagues in the diaspora to invest in Guyana?
Selwyn.
Go ahead, Ronald.
Yeah, I was just about to suggest that perhaps this is the opportune juncture for Kojo and I to jump in, because I imagine that we may have persuasive contributions to make in this regard as well. I've listened to Anandi and I've listened to Mark, and I do see the wisdom in the suggestions that they're making. However, I wish to add that I think oftentimes the focus is too much on the economic development of our country, that we sometimes miss the more fundamental aspects of development. Whenever we talk about development, we talk in terms of fancy buildings, proper infrastructure, but the conversation is never focused on the development of the most important resources, the most important resource rather of our country, and that is our human resource. Now, while I do understand and would not seek to water down the necessity of our engaging in the discussion of regionalism and internationalism, I respectfully think that the first aspect of our conversation should be about nationalism, because unless we can formulate a comprehensive development agenda for our country, then it puts us at a disadvantage in our relations at the regional level and, of course, our relations at the national level. Because if we don't have a comprehensive national policy, then we'll be entering into regional negotiations without any fixed sense of direction, and it complicates our international relations or relations beyond the region. Now, any national development policy must firstly take into consideration the people and how we are going to position the people to contribute to that policy. While money is important, our human resource is considerably more important. So the focus should be to invest in our human resource. Once we invest in our human resource within the paradigm of a national development perspective, then we can train our people not in the colonial type of educational system we've been doing since pre-independence, but we can train our people and invest in them the qualities which are necessary for contributions to a national development policy. Now, once we contribute to our people, we ensure that our people have good social systems in place, we ensure that our people have good healthcare systems in place, and the people in turn, once they have good social systems, good healthcare systems, good educational systems in place, they can contribute to our economic development. And we in turn can enter into regional relations on a more solid foundation. Now, as we all know.
But Ronald, we're not averse to having parallel development, though, of human development and economic development.
Well, of course, parallel development is absolutely necessary. Now, I'm not saying that we should develop the capacities of our people in isolation of economic development. What I'm saying is that there must be a balanced focus and not a single-minded perspective or a single-minded attitude to economic development as against developing the capacities of our people. Now, to take it into the broader conversation, when we look at regionalism, for instance, we have the CARICOM community, and the CARICOM community was properly supposed to have fostered regionalism. The CARICOM community has evolved into what I would loosely term an academic institution. So we have to revisit that type of regional federation discussion. And we have these different regional territories competing over the same international market. We're duplicating our primary production. So from that perspective, development of regionalism would be challenging as it has proven over the years, and we have a distrust of each other's in the region. We've not even removed the artificial barriers to traveling within the region. And we're going to be talking about regionalism from the perspective of economic development. We need to first and foremost focus on reducing these barriers.
Ronald, this is Mark.
Yes, Ellen.
Yeah.
Yes, Mark. Sorry.
Yeah. It's all right. Like you know me, the comments sort me. It's all right. Ronald, all that is good. But I'm going back to this. If Anandi come home from work at 8 o'clock and she cannot read her skin, or she cannot read work with her son or her daughter, she's going to get frustrated. And saying that we need to, as much as we do all these things, we need to have our electricity problem settled once and for all, our water condition. Listen, I used to lift water up here. I am not prepared to do it again for years. And
Mark, and I say respectfully,
we have to grapple with these things. These are things that have been going on.
I think Ronald is onto something. To answer the question, or try to answer the question that someone posed. I think what we have now, we have a bit of momentum that is going in the right direction. Of course, in the big projects that are very visible, and that's for obvious reasons. In terms of mostly in terms of public infrastructure, the enhancement of public spaces, which isn't just a cosmetic thing, but really does affect people psychologically. But I do think that we are lagging behind somewhat in terms of the human resource development. And of course, that's not something that is easy to do as laying down road or building a park and so on. But I have questioned from time to time whether or not if this is too heavily or if it's imbalanced in terms of restoration, right? Of course, you do need to restore spaces. You need to do the brick and mortar things. We haven't quite gotten to the electricity as yet, much to my discomfort, and the water is yet and so on, and so on. But and as much as the government does give lip service to projecting into the future, for me, there's in terms of actually putting some of these things into practice, and in terms of actually holding on to opportunities that have been presented to think creatively and outside of the box and innovative ways, I think they've missed a ship in certain regards. I won't go into detail here. So I don't think it's an either or proposition. Yes, we do need to do those things. Look, I remember when I got into the working world, and I had a good paying job, and I just gotten some money, and I had my laptop and my DVD player that I bought from my mother, and my computer and everything, and I was on the internet, and I was feeling nice and everything, and then a blackout hit, and all that went, and I got plunged back into another century. So that is pivotal. It is pivotal that I should be able to bathe my girls without them getting rashes on the skin. So it's not just the flow of water into the house, it's the quality of the water. And that I shouldn't be paying for water and then there's another hidden cost in the water in terms of the filtration I have to pay for on a regular basis, so that water is usable, not potable. I can't use it to cook and so on. But I mean, those are very basic, life critical things that I think we've become so accustomed to. A lot of people have become so accustomed to that it's a norm. It's the same way that the nastiness of the city was a norm. it's. I mean, for instance, and just again another brief tangent. There was a headline in Starbuck News a few months ago about a working fire hydrant. It was a big story. It wasn't it was a short story, but it was placed prominently in the newspaper. Fire hydrant works. Everyone in the community came out and gawked and oohed and awed and all of that. That's how accustomed we have become to dysfunction. So yeah, just to support Mark's point, I think we become so accustomed to dysfunction that we get wowed by the parks and roads and these sort of things, but we do need to focus on developing our human resources, and not just the children. I mean, it's great, we need to do that, but that's a long-term investment.
Kojo.
Other human resource development
but I might say this quickly.
Ronald, it got to be 30 seconds because we're time is run out on us, and I want to get Nandi to sum up to make our point. So go ahead.
Okay.
No, Ronald. No, Anandi, let Ronald. Ronald has a point to make.
Yes, I thought so.
Ronald.
Yeah, what I'm saying, yes, the proposals which Mark is making, that we need to fix electricity, we need to fix our water issues. Now, these fall squarely within the parameters of investing in our human capital. It's not as if we're going to invest exclusively in the education of our people without setting conducive circumstances for the blossoming of that educational injection. And that's my 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Anandi?
Yes, my 30 seconds quickly is that listening to everyone, I think because some of us on this panel are in Guyana and some are out, I agree with the brothers who actually are in Guyana that certain issues need to be put on the front burner and they need to be fixed locally. I'm very big, Ronald, on human resource and social integration and all of that. And if that is not fixed, perhaps we will be misplacing our emphasis on regional and global initiatives. Let us fix the internal first, and then I think that it will have the ripple effects that are required.
Thank you, Anande, Mark, Ronald, and Kojo. I really appreciate this, so thank you very much.